Winners look at the world completely different than if they were losing. Rich people look at the world and situations completely differently than somebody who is not so well off with money. And successful people, just in general, will have a different view, and that view is called mindset. So learn what distinguishes a winning mindset in the classroom in this video. Okay, we're going to learn about 7 mindsets or habits of thinking that are really going to drive the excellence in your classroom with high-risk learners. And the most critical one is number 7. So keep watching to the end if you want to hear the most effective thing you can do to bring the excellence mindset into your classroom. Okay, so the number 1 habit of thought is the third way. It means you are not stuck in a rut of doing it this way or my way or the other way. If a system or a routine will get a student to the right answer, treasure that and value that. Praise them for thinking outside the box. You want students who think outside the box. It's called finding the third way. Don't ever underestimate, don't ever tell them they did it wrong or no, not that way. You always want to value. That's a great idea you had. Let's see if we can try it this way as well. You know, if you want them to do a certain system, but always value them thinking outside the box, grasping. Even if it's wrong, even if it's misguided, you want them going there. You want them to explore higher levels of thinking. Number 2 is risk-taking. You want to build the mindset that mistakes are our treasures. Like we said in previous videos, if you're not trying, you're never going to make any progress. And if you don't set goals, yeah, you're never going to fail, but you're never going to get very far. So you want to be a risk-taker. You want to build that value in your students that everybody makes mistakes. The more mistakes we make is probably the harder we're trying, so those are a good thing. You don't want them to be embarrassed about mistakes or feel bad for making them. Number 3, you want them to have an appropriate view of grades. They are not equal to their grades. They're not comparing their grade with someone else, but grades are just a data point. So you want them not focused on the grade that they're making, but focused on, did I understand the material? When they understand that, it really eliminates the need for cheating or anything like that. Kids cheat to try to get a better grade. When I've had cheaters in my class, it's almost always been the high kids that are cheating, the ones who really understand, and they cheated to get 100 instead of a 95. But as soon as you call that out, you know, and when this happened, the kids came and, you know, threw them under the bus. Oh, those 2 are cheating. They looked at the answers, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll call those 2 over and I'll have a conversation about, well, you know, is it important to get a high grade or is it important to understand? Like, understand. Okay, well, did you understand those mistakes? And they'll go back and they'll figure it out. Okay, and then the next day, I put the answers over there in the folder again. I didn't hide the answers because I'm afraid they're going to cheat. So now everybody knows the answers are there. Everybody knows it's easy to cheat, but are we going to cheat? No, because the importance is on understanding. And those kids didn't do it again. You know, they felt bad already, but then they realized that it's not about the number that they get on the paper. It's about, did I understand all of the items to move me to the next level? Number 4 is motivation. You've got to constantly motivate your students. Do whatever you can to motivate them. Praise is probably the biggest thing you can do to keep the kids motivated and keep them trying. Heard it said, what you appreciate appreciates. So what you're praising and making a big deal out of is going to go up. It's going to appreciate. So make sure you keep praising the students. Make sure you reward the students for progress and include as much motivation as you can. If you can afford to buy squishies, or you can afford to buy pencils or stickers or whatever kids like, or a little extra time here and there, whatever you can do for the students, or they get an extra trip to the library. Anything you can do to motivate them is tops. Make happy calls to the parents. Tell the parent how hard the student worked that day. You know, sometimes those are few and far between, the positive comments parents receive about their children. And that can go so far. If you start to, you can put that on your schedule as well. I'm going to call 5 parents every week and tell them something good about their student. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Find ways to encourage them, things that they want. The non-material things are sometimes, almost always, more valuable than the material things anyway. Number 5, high expectations. Always expect the best from all of your students. Do not let kids off the hook because you really think they can't do it like the other kids can do it. Don't tell them they don't have to do this assignment because it's so hard. Don't tell them math is hard. Don't tell them, point of view is hard. You know, you're putting that out there. You know, tell them it's easy. Find the hardest thing and tell them how easy it is. Fractions, I mean, honestly, I never thought fractions was hard to teach, but I always hear a teacher, oh, fractions, fractions are so hard with teaching the lower grades kids, and I never found them hard, and I don't go in with that mindset that they're going to be hard. I tell them, okay, it's fractions. Fractions are so fun, and I have the kids coming out at the end. They love fractions because I've told them it's fun, and so if you tell them it's fun, they think it's fun. I'm sure calculus is fun. And, so it's all about that mindset and having high expectations for your students. You don't go in thinking they're going to struggle. Don't go in thinking they're going to have a hard time. It's a challenge. It's not difficult. It's a challenge. So verbalize and frame the activities in a positive way that is motivating. So make sure you have high expectations for your students. Be confident that they're going to learn the skills, and they will be confident. They'll know that they can do it. They'll just feel that from you, the way you look at them. They'll know whether you believe in them or not. So keep believing in them, set the bar high, and then give them the tools and the strategies they need to get there. The sixth mindset is accountability, or accountable talk in the room. Make sure your students feel safe to voice politely what they think, what they really think, or what's going through their mind. I always know we're crossing some kind of a line. If I'm teaching 5th grade and a student, it's usually one of the more advanced students, you can tell who they are by this kind of thing. They'll say, I don't think that's right, Miss Fernando, because blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, I make such a big deal out of that. When the student disagrees with me, I call them out. I tell the class, did you hear what Lisa just said? Did you see what she just did? I said something and I'm the teacher. She said she disagreed with me. Is that okay? And some of the kids will say no, and I'm like, that is wonderful. I am so happy she did that because she is thinking. I want all of you to think the way she's thinking and to push back. If I say something you don't understand, ask me about it. If you don't agree, let's have a conversation. And you might have to give them, definitely when they're turning and talking with themselves, you'll need to give them accountable talk stems, but ways for them to explore concepts and really internalize it and become a part of it, because now you have ownership in it when you actually care about it and you're sharing your perspective. It's a really, really great climate in your classroom when students feel that they can disagree and they have the vocabulary to respectfully do that. You want them to be able to have a position and defend their position, and you're giving them a great life skill when you can do that, and you're making it a very safe place in your classroom. Finally, number 7, the most important mindset or value in your classroom is to build student confidence. You're constantly building up the student. You don't want to be a terror downer. I know you wouldn't do it on purpose, but some things, like even when they say an answer and you're like, no, that's wrong, that has an effect on the students. Try to find a response that says, not quite, or I like where you're going with that, but not quite, or that's not just it, or good thinking, but no. You can say no, but you want to make sure to validate everything they're doing that has to do with trying in your classroom, trying to reach the goal, trying to understand, trying to do what you said. Because really that's what they want to do. They're trying to get there. You don't ever want to squash that risk taking. When you do something negative, you have a negative response, or you in any way make them feel bad for being wrong or anything like that, you kind of squash that risk taking mindset. Okay? It's got to be okay. Everything's got to be okay as long as you're trying your best. It's not that we're going to reward good trying without the actual success, but you want to be praising that. You want to be building that mindset of never giving up. Try this, try that, be an innovator. It didn't work. Who cares? I'm so happy that you're trying. You want to always be positive, and you always want to build the student up. You want to praise their strengths, find their strengths. If you don't think they have any, look harder, because they all do, and call them out on their strengths in front of the class. Always praise them and always make them feel empowered. Always praise the students, because what you're doing is you are empowering them. You're empowering them to be successful. They're never going to be successful unless they think they can actually do it. And this doesn't just go for your content in school, it goes for their entire life. So, number 7 is to build their confidence and empower your students. So those were 7 values that add to a mindset for rigor in your classroom. Be sure to check out my other series on building an effective classroom culture.